Yo, so in this video I'm going to show you how to EQ vocals in Studio One 5. So let's get to it. First thing I'm going to do is play the beat with the vocal. The vocal right now just has some auto-tune on it and it has a little bit of saturation just to give it a little grit. So let's hear it. Cool. So let's get into the mix. So we're going to go to the lead vocal track. See it right here. Got a little bit of auto-tune access on there. Just doing some tuning. And we got a little distortion saturator plugin going on. Not crazy, but let's get to the EQing. So the first thing, I already built this channel strip, so I'm going to basically walk you through it. So the first EQ that we have on here, it is, well, I'll do a before and after so you can hear it. Cool. So first thing I did was I did low cut. You always want to low cut your vocals, especially your lead vocals. You want to do this so that the low end of the vocal doesn't conflict with your bass. A lot of these songs, like hip hop songs, have 808s in them. You want the bottom of your track, that bass region, to be completely just bass. Bass from your bass instrument, whether that be your 808, your bass guitar, your kick drum, whatever. No bass from your vocals. You want to cut that out. It'll make it sound way cleaner if you cut it, especially in the car when you're playing it real loud. So first thing I do is I cut the bass out of the vocal. Next thing I do is I give it a little dip right around here. So basically you see this kind of easing in, this arch. I like to ease it in a little more. That's the purpose of this. I give it a little bit more arch to it. So I'll play it with just the bass cuts. So not crazy, but in the car or on big systems, you'll really notice that, where you might not in headphones or something small like that. Next thing I did was give it a little bump right here. This is basically to bring up some of the lower region in the voice. A lot of it's getting cut out here, but I like to bring it out here just so it sits in the track a little bit. So if you were to put this track in mono with the vocal, basically the goal is to fill in all the frequency gaps. So where the track is right now, if you were to put it in mono with the vocal over top, I felt personally, the way I listened to the song, that there was a little gap in this region that wasn't filled by the beat, and that the vocal could take that spot. So I gave it a little boost right here. And I feel that it just gives it a little bit more oomph and fills the track out, the song out a little more. My goal usually when mixing is to make it kind of feel like a wall, just like a wall of sound. And that's very like EDM music does it a lot, and I think that's where it came from, but now hip hop music does it a lot. And that's really just what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create a wall of sound. And this right here, this region, is adding to the track to fill in that region that I felt was left out. So the next thing that we're going to go for is this. I guess, I don't know what this is, mid-filter or something like that, or mid-frequency. So yeah, boosted this. This is to give it more presence. So let's hear. So in isolation, this really doesn't sound like it's doing too much, but it helps when I put this stuff on there. These are really extreme boosts that are being added that we'll go into in a minute. But this right here, this that was added, it kind of helps like ease it in. So it's not so jarring, the high-end frequencies that are being boosted. It's more eased in, so it sounds a little bit more natural. But let's hear the higher frequencies now that we brought in before and after. You gon' need some glasses like a big man. I know that was when I see him. You gon' need an umbrella, I got big drip. I know that was when I see him. So way more high end. This sounds way more present. Some would say this is kind of like surgical. It's doing a lot. The mic that this song was recorded on wasn't great, and we're honestly looking to just improve it. As much as I'd hate to say that, like I don't like to take a vocal that wasn't recorded in the best light and try to make it better. I like to record a vocal that sounds amazing initially, but you don't always get that. So this is how I fixed the problem of the dull vocal, because I felt that the vocal was a little bit dull. So yeah, gave it a lot of boosting up here, and yeah, it might sound a little not totally natural right now if I was to play it. There's like this high-end kind of brittle nature to it that doesn't sound completely natural to me, but when we add in the reverb later, it'll help sort that out a little bit. So then the next thing we do is, or I did, was cut out more lows, just do a little bit more kind of tapering and just boosting a little bit, just trying to give that wall of sound, like I said before. So let's hear before and after. So it's super small. It doesn't really, it's not that crazy. And this region right here, I like to cut this sometimes just because it gets muddy around here, around like 250, or what region is this? 3000-ish or 3500, around there. Just this whole region right here can be responsible for a lot of mud. So I like to be very careful like what I add and take out. Just make sure like if your vocal is a little bit more in the bassy area, so like for example, Justin Bieber singing in his high voice probably wouldn't need to do that much cutting over here, but this voice is a little bit lower, so I want to cut a little over here just because I want to make sure that my bass, or not my bass, but like my low mids aren't conflicting that much with the track. So I did a little cutting right there. Right here, I brought it up just because I felt that those frequencies were missing in that wall of sound that we talked about before, and then I gave it a little bit more presence over here. And then there's reverb. So just so you guys can hear what it sounds like before and after with the reverb, I'll play it. But that's not the focus, obviously, of this tutorial, but here it is. So as you can see, when you add that reverb in, and especially for tracks like this that are very like hip hop or R&B or pop, it doesn't need to sound super realistic, but usually when you're doing all these surgical EQing, if you do have to do that, which I felt that I kind of needed to in this song, when you add reverb to it at the end, usually songs like this are very drowned in reverb, so they'll cover up those little surgical, I guess, movements that you've done. So I wouldn't totally worry about the not totally realistic nature of the sound that was coming out prior to the reverb. The reverb, if it's drowned like this kind of is, it'll cover a lot of that stuff up. And then the last EQ that we have is another low cut. So the reason for this low cut was the reverb doesn't have any low cut or high cut settings in it, which is kind of annoying to me, but I like to cut it at the end. So usually reverbs, they add a full frequency spectrum of, I guess, room sound or hall sound, whatever it is. And in that, when you EQ out, say your low end from a vocal that happens, from the vocal, when it hits this EQ, you're EQing the low end out. When it hits that reverb, it's going to add back in some of those low frequency sounds. So in that, I cut it out. So yeah, hopefully this helps. Talk to you guys next time.